The future of AI in war, it's already here. In Iran and in Gaza before that, we are seeing AI's turbocharged powers at work. So more targets, more destruction, more casualties, all at a lightning speed that was not possible before. The US military is using AI tools like Claude in its bombing campaign in Iran, according to the Wall Street Journal, and the Israeli military, America's partner in this, has used AI on the battlefield since its 2021 war in Gaza. So what does AI's turbocharged powers look like in Iran? The US hit 1,000 targets in Iran in the operation's first 24 hours, according to an analysis by Airways. In just 4 days, Israel dropped 5,000 munitions. All told, the US and Israel hit more targets in Iran in the first 100 hours than the first 6 months of the US-led bombing campaign on ISIS in Syria and Iraq in 2014. Now, I know there's been a lot of talk about red lines on autonomous weapons, but the way AI is being used in war today as decision support system, so using AI to analyze huge troves of intel data to recommend bombing targets, it's not as far off from autonomous weapons as you might think.
Legally, the distinction between decision support systems and autonomous weapon systems is that there's a human in the loop when you're selecting and engaging specific targets. But in practice, this technicality is actually very superficial because the human in the loop that I'm talking about here is impacted by what we call automation bias, which is this idea based on decades of research showing that humans trust recommendations of algorithms blindly without corroborating with other sources to check if those recommendations were correct or not, even if they're required to.
Now, the strike on that school in Iran that killed at least 175, mostly children, did AI play a role? An initial Pentagon assessment says it was a US strike, reportedly based off intel from as far back as 2013 to 2016. But key questions are, did an AI program recommend this target? Was it programmed to accept lots of civilian casualties? And how wouldn't a human reviewing this intel not have realized it was over a decade old? Remember, this was part of the first set of strikes in a war the US started, so not yet a fog of war situation. But it's important to know that AI's turbocharged powers, it also applies to mistakes.
And that's because the very use of these systems make it difficult to distinguish if some attacks were in fact deliberate due to intelligence failures or due to the lack of accuracy of these AI models, or even the parameters that they were giving to accept an enormous amount of casualties. So in some sense, that's really the point of using AI, is to muddy accountability and who's responsible here. But also they're dealing with a black box. And the way that these models are built, it makes it very difficult for a human operator to understand why that model came to that decision.
This isn't a Pandora's box situation. As it stands today, humans still have a lot of say on how or if AI is used on the battlefield.
This isn't something like nuclear weapons. With AI, you can just unplug these systems, right? These things are driven by us. It is a human decision for us, and we can ultimately roll back on that